This is Mayor Ron Anders with the Mayor's Minutes from our March the 17th, 2020 City Council meeting. One of the first things we considered last night during the consent agenda was to authorize the suspension of parking meter operations in downtown Auburn from March the 18th through April the 9th, 2020. We selected April the 9th, 2020 because Auburn University has declared that the earliest day that they would be back in school would be April the 10th. I remind you that they will reevaluate their plan on April the 1st. There's been a number of discussion points about downtown meter parking and what we should do and shouldn't do. I would tell you from my perspective that there are two reasons that I supported this, and it was voted unanimously by the council last night, is I believe our public safety personnel can be used in other ways during this time, and they do not need to be given parking tickets and checking on cars in downtown Auburn. I would also say to you that our small businesses and small eateries in downtown Auburn are changing the way they operate during this time of health crisis and concern. And we all have to still eat, and many of them are very committed to takeout and delivery processes. And if those of us in our community who would like to eat in downtown, who would like to go and pick up some food, we want you to be able to do that as quickly and as efficiently as possible without having to worry about feeding the meter. So those are the reasons I supported that. I believe that those two reasons are ones that most of our council would speak to. Certainly you can ask your city council representative for their take on that, but it was passed unanimously last night. We approved our 2020 annual action plan for our community block grant program. We do have a plan for 5 years that goes from 2020 to 2024, but this is the action plan that we have to approve for this year. And this is the expenditure of almost $600,000 of money that comes to us from the federal government that we use to support low to moderate income areas. These could be housing construction or housing rehabilitation, public services, youth services, senior services, family services, infrastructure, or revitalization projects. All of this is listed on our city's website at auburnalabama.org/community services. I encourage you to go there if you'd like to know about this. We've had a number of public meetings to talk about which programs we would support this year, and this was the action plan that we're happy to approve and glad that we got approved last night. And the good work can begin to be done in those neighborhoods in the near future. We renamed a couple of streets in the Tuscany Hills neighborhood. One was from Embrace Court to Vineyard Court, and the other one was Huntley Drive to Mara Vista Drive. These are not things that we commonly do. This had to go through the Planning Commission and was both endorsed by the Planning Commission unanimously, and we approved those last night. We approved a contract with Ryan Public Safety Systems for $33,000 for our 911 call handling system, and this is an annual contract of customer support for those systems. We approved the project, the contract for the new Wright Street parking deck, $13.9 million with Stone Building Company. This parking deck has had a long and storied history here in the city of Auburn. It started out at the size that we will build now, but it started out originally as about a 350 car parking deck. Then there was the potential of a larger project in downtown Auburn, which meant we changed the dynamics and the scope and the structure of this parking deck to almost a 500 car parking deck. That project then fell through, as many of you know, and now we're back to the original size of about a 350 car parking deck. Things are good economically in our country in spite of the times we're living in right now. Certainly that is changing. But up until now, things have been very good, which means our contractors are very busy, which normally means that construction prices are higher than they used to be. And so the parking deck did come in over the budget that we originally set many years ago, but our staff and our finance team believes this is something that we can handle through borrowing the money through our bond market, and we'll continue to proceed with that. And we're excited about getting the parking deck built, and it will be a great asset to all of our citizens who would like to enjoy downtown Auburn. Along with that, we approved the architectural services for 2WR out of Georgia for the Wright Street parking deck. And once again, this is another contract that grew, and from its original scope and size, it morphed. The morphing of this parking deck created a lot of extra work for the architect company to process. And then with the contract coming in and the project coming in much higher than we thought it would be, that also increases the fees that are due to the architect. We had a great discussion about that last night. I certainly appreciate everybody's willingness to understand why the price has gone up $1 million. And if you have questions about that, please don't hesitate to ask our staff or or call me, and we can go through why that has occurred. An ordinance last night, we passed a four-way stop sign at North Donahue Drive and West Farmville Road, and all the people that live out in this area, we know that you've been concerned about the safety of this area for a long time. We have done a traffic study, and the study warrants right now to do a four-way stop. That is confusing to many people who believe that we should go ahead and put a stoplight there. We have to follow the best practices and that are given to us by the State Department of Transportation and by our own Public Safety and Public Works Department. These are been ratified and understood and studied for many years, and according to all of that criteria, the warrant now is for a four-way stop, and we hope to get that installed as soon as possible. We'll come back within 365 days and reevaluate how that is going out there, potentially restudy this area, and if it warrants putting up a stoplight, then certainly we want you to know that we will do that in the future. Under annexations, we had we had 3 different annexations of small amounts of property that we brought in last night, and then under resolutions, we approved a conditional use for True Deliverance Holiness Church on 932 North Donahue Drive, and they will be building probably a multi-use. I would guess it's a multi-use facility that will look and function like a gymnasium, but I expect to have many church activities and community activities and youth activities and neighborhood activities in there, and it will be a great asset for our city, and we appreciate their investment and look forward to their project being built. We also approved a couple of things during our committee of the whole last night that we voted on under other business. The first is we declared a local state of emergency for the city of Auburn. Basically, this will allow the city manager and sometimes the mayor to have abilities and authorities to expedite government in reaction to what is going on with this local health emergency with the COVID-19 virus. All of these things are that we could possibly do. The extra authorities it does give the city manager and the mayor are listed in this resolution, which I encourage you to go to our website and read through. I would say to you there's one thing on there one item on there that we potentially could do that's worth mentioning, and that is a curfew. We are currently vetting a curfew and how a curfew would work in our city. We hope that our citizens will act responsibly and will do the right thing and will not be creating a health hazard for all of us due to their conduct and their unwillingness to conform to the recommendations that have been made from our state health department, the CDC, and even the White House and our president. But if necessary, the city will consider implementing a curfew if that's in the best interest of our community, and we certainly would not want to go there, but I want to make the citizens aware that we will go there if we need to. So please look at that and let us know if you've got any questions about that. And then we also passed a resolution that I would call social responsibility that really strongly encourages all of our citizens to conform to the ask and the request and the recommendations of all the people, once again, from the CDC to our State Department of Public Health, to the White House and the President, and to our local health officials here at East Alabama Medical Center. Please take all of that advice personally, and please conduct yourself in a responsible manner. There are a number of items on the back that I would read to you that it asks you to do. One is for all non-essential and non-emergency travel is strongly discouraged between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Certainly if there's an emergency or work-related, we encourage you to continue with that. But if not, please try to be home in the early hours. We ask you not to gather with more than 25 people in any one place. And if you are doing that within a business, then we just certainly ask that you create 6 feet of distance between yourself when at all possible. In addition, we want you to know that the City of Auburn has done all it can do to create an online presence so that any reason that you might have to come to a city building, that you can get that done online instead of in person. Once again, you've heard from me for the last 48 hours encouraging us to hang in there and to conduct ourselves in such a way that makes all of us safe. I remind you again, if we will be diligent, if we will be disciplined for a few weeks here, maybe even a month, then I firmly believe that we'll have a great summer and a wonderful fall and football season like all of us want to have. The quicker we can get this behind us, the faster we can get on to a regular pace of life. But the more that we don't adhere to these recommendations that have been given to us by very smart people, health officials, scientists, people that do this for a living, then the longer this will linger, not only in Auburn, but in our country. So I ask you again, and I plead with you, to consider all the things that you have heard and you will continue to hear as the days go on. And please conduct yourself in a way that is helpful to everybody in our community, no matter what age and stage of life you're in, no matter where you work, no matter where you live. Please try to do everything you can to make sure that all of Auburn is safe, because your conduct and your responsibility has been taken care of. This is Ron Anders with the Mayor's Minutes for our March 17, 2020 meeting. Have a great week.